Good morning. This is Stephanie Parrott, and my topic is prayer beads. And the brief history on prayer beads is they actually date back to 560 BC with the Hindus, because many faith practices use prayer beads as an aid in ritualized prayer. And it wasn't for Christian history until around 1040, sometime around the Crusades, where we start seeing introduced actual use of prayer beads as a spiritual practice within the Christian church. There had been mentions of them prior to that, but there wasn't any specific practices until around the 13th century, when we start seeing the church passing edicts and making comments about the rosary and setting and standardizing what the rosary would be like. The reason we seem to think that the prayer beads got started about that time was because of the Crusades and their interaction with Muslims who used prayer beads for counting their prayers each day and for carrying the presence of God with them. So it's for that same reason that the rosaries were used as a means of keeping up with ritualized prayer. Ritualized prayer actually goes back into antiquity, where bishops and priests would repeat the Psalms. There are 150 Psalms, and you'll notice on most rosaries there's 150 beads. And they were supposed to pray them each day. But you're dealing with an illiterate society who doesn't read. So the substitution was to do 150 paternosters. And I'm probably saying that wrong. But basically they're the Our Father prayers. And so, but then again, you're still, how do you count to 150? How do you keep up with those prayers? So you would see tales and stories of people using necklaces with beads or prayer stones to try to keep up with their prayers. So with the Muslims introducing prayer beads into Christian practice during the Crusades is when we start seeing rosaries becoming more popular, especially among the common people. And it was a way of keeping the common people in communion with God through spiritual practice. As far as the emergent church goes, we begin to see an interest reemerging in the 20th century, with people becoming more interested in spiritual practices. The Episcopal Church noted this, and in 1980 started reintroducing things like labyrinth and centering prayers, contemplative worship, and prayer beads. And so they came up with what they called the Anglican prayer bead. It has 33 beads on it, and there's meaning to each of the beads, but you're encouraged to individualize. Use Christian prayers, use Christian doxologies or liturgies or things that mean something to you to come up with your own spiritual practices. So my idea was to take that and maybe make it into an app, because when I looked at prayer apps, most prayer apps are just reminders or prayer list. So a way the emergent church could use prayer apps is to work in the idea of ritualized prayer, not just reminding you to pray, but actually having preloaded rituals in there, examples of different prayers like the doxology or the Gloria Patri or the Our Father, and actually have their history and origin in there, so that some people who may not have been raised in the church could learn about different prayers and individualize and customize their own prayer beads. And my computer engineering son said, and then you could do Bluetooth prayer beads that would communicate with your phone. So that would be an interesting way for the emergent church to go, I guess, with our new technology. Thank you.